Welcome back to another episode of the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast. My name is Chris Rickenbaugh, and this is episode 145, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about the 70% rule to flip houses. So if you don't know what that is, or you know what it is and can correct me on it somewhere, I would encourage you to listen. So if you haven't listened to this podcast before, I am documenting my journey in real estate and business, and also talking a little bit about travel hacking and personal finance. You can find me everywhere on socials, on Instagram and TikTok at chris.rickenbaugh. So that's chris.REICHENBACH. There you'll be able to see exactly what I'm doing every day, what I'm talking about, what I'm learning, and you'll be able to stay up to date a little bit better. And if you're listening to this podcast, thank you for finding it. And if you're looking for somewhere else to listen to, you can find it on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Podbean. So let's hop into the topic here, and that's going to be the 70% rule. So I thought this would be a good episode to do because, some people it's always a good episode to be able to, just talk about what you're doing, talk about what you're learning, because other people may just be that one step right behind you looking for that same thing. So this is why I talk about it. I haven't flipped 100 houses, so, I'm not the 100% expert, but this is what I'm learning, and this is why I found this rule so helpful here lately, and it is so true. So the 70% rule, for those who don't know, is buying the house at 70% of the after repair value. So for this example, I'm going to say on a $200,000 house, say every house is sold in the area, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet. It's sold at $200,000. Obviously, that number is low, but it's just for the example. So what you're going to do is you're going to multiply that by 70%. So if you go down to, I actually have my number wrong here in front of me, but on a $200,000 house, the 70% of that value is $140,000. So that's what you start with. Because why that is so important is because it gives you the refinance option. If you stay on budget, you'll be able to pull out a little bit of money or be right on the dot with getting your money out and being able to reinvest it. If you go 75%, that's normally what or from what I've seen and who I've talked to, that's about what they do to be able to refinance your house. So they take 75% of the after repair value. So you need to buy it a little bit lower to be able to make your spread. So for this example, let's run through it really quick. So you've talked to your agent. They determine that it's going to be a $200,000 house or after repair value, and you need to buy this thing at 70%. So 200,000 times 70%, that's going to be 140,000, and then you subtract the renovation cost. So after you've walked it with the contractor, they say, hey, this total project is going to be, with labor and materials, it's going to be $40,000. That's going to make your maximum purchase price $100,000. So that is super, super tough to find from what I'm seeing right now. You kind of have to make your deals. You have to be able to negotiate. But if you're getting it from a wholesaler, you're probably going to be off by about, 5 to 10,000 because they have to make their spread in it. So if they're doing their job as a wholesaler, then they're trying to get it even lower. So that's your goal. You're trying to get this, or the 70% rule is your standard. So in this scenario, that $100,000 purchase price would be your maximum allowable offer. And say you offer at $90,000 for the house and you get it, that's just more spread on top for you. So it's just a general rule to be able to go by because, it's getting really, really hard to find those deals. But when one does pencil out or get really close on penciling out, that probably means you're going to make a pretty solid profit off of that flip. So definitely always something to be able to look into and use that as a guideline going forward on flips. Something I was doing for a while was going off 75%, but what I kind of found was that makes the deal a lot slimmer. So that's basically just a base hit. So if I'm using hard money and all those extra little fees plus my private money fee, that really narrows down my flip. So in this case, I haven't run this based off of the calculators, but it would be probably just a base hit. You're probably going to make 15 to 20 grand off of it. And, for a lot of people, that's a lot. But for flippers, we're really looking for those bigger spreads because we know we could sell it to somebody or sell that contract to another flipper who maybe does the work themselves and say, we thought it was $40,000 in reno, where they could do it for a $25,000 because they're doing all the work themselves. So it makes the numbers a lot different on their side. But they're able to buy that a little bit higher than we can if we're using hard money. So the biggest thing to take away is that it gives you more exit options. Because instead of just having to sell the house and make it a flip, you also have the option to be able to refinance. Say the market turns a little bit and that ARV is still $200,000, or maybe it goes up a little bit, but people just aren't quite buying houses. Maybe it's the middle of winter and it's a $200,000 house, but people only want to offer like $180,000 for it. So then you have the option to keep it, turn it into a rental. And that's going to be where your negotiating power is, because you don't have to sell it if you're buying it at the right number. So that's just it's really just a good standard rule to go by. We're just kind of going off ballpark numbers in the beginning, going off a partner. But once I really started looking into it, I've leaned way more on the 70% rule. And that's where, I've had to be a little bit more patient in finding deals. But once I can find that, that's where I'm really going to start making my spread. So, and that's the last house I talked about last Friday on the episode 143. I talked about the new flip I just bought, and that one hits the 70% rule based off all the numbers, and that's going to be a really, really good opportunity. And I could even keep that if I really, really wanted to, but I'd rather sell it and make a lot more. So I wanted to keep this a little bit of a short episode heading into the weekend. We have some interviews coming up. We got at least 2 booked, possibly a third here. So next Friday, we'll probably have an interview for you here. But for this episode, this is all I have for you. So thank you so much for tuning in. This is Chris Rickenbaugh with the Leadway Wealth Builders Podcast, saying we'll see you next time.